do you mean to say Joe is still worrying about that songwriter?
He's giving it his full attention now that he's on vacation.
It seems a pity he won't admit it was suicide. I wouldn't think of murdering anyone like that.
How many people have you murdered, Mrs. O'Rourke?
Well, naturally not any. But you said yourself the ballistic test proved the shot was fired from Mr. Vincent's gun.
Somebody could have put the gun there afterwards. Sugar?
3 lumps. But what about the fingerprints, dearie?
Joe says fingerprints can be switched. Coffee cake?
No, thank you. Why, yes, of course, fingerprints can be switched. I remember now. Ginger Rogers did that in Blue Midnight. My, wasn't she pretty?
We were talking about murder, Mrs. O'Rourke.
Oh, of course.
Joe says the question is, how did the powder burns get on Mr. Vincent's head and the powder traces on his hands?
Have they used the nitric test?
Certainly. We're not done on the police force.
Well, then perhaps the killer put the pistol...
Revolver, Mrs. O'Rourke. A pistol is an automatic weapon.
I was just using the word loosely, dearie. Perhaps the killer put the revolver in his hand and then forced him to fire the shot himself.
Then there would have been a struggle, Mrs. O'Rourke, and the fingerprints would have been smudged. I'll show you.
My, what a lovely revolver.
Yes, it's Joe's. Ivory sights, hair trigger.
Oh, you were going to show me about the fingerprints.
Oh, yes, stand up. Put your cup back there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, come down here. Try to force me to shoot myself through the head.
Well, go on. Well,
it's not something. After all, you don't... After all, if you'd only be a little bit more... You've got to do here. Joe, have you gone crazy?
Have I gone crazy? What in the world are you two trying to do?
I was showing Mrs. O'Rourke how Mr. Vincent wasn't murdered.
Did anybody ever tell you shouldn't play with guns?
Oh, don't be silly. It's just loaded with blanks.
Blanks? Why, Mom, you're wonderful.
Am I?
You too, Mrs. O'Rourke.
Joe, you're not going out without your breakfast.
I've got a breakfast date with a murderess.
Murderous?